Hello Starshine! My name is Liz and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page where this whole thing began as well. All relevant links are in the description below. And of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then. So, welcome, and what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done, but I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from the Fundamentalist Ferguson family, and we're at chapter 2. If you have not seen the previous chapter and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado. Twins Elijah and Esther Ferguson had come as a bit of a surprise to their parents, Cameron and Addison. They were a rather traditional religious couple, and although Cameron worked in the medical field, for some reason he and Addison chose to have as natural and intervention-free a pregnancy as possible. As a result, they hadn't known they were having twins until the very last moment in the delivery room. The shock of having 2 babies instead of 1 soon wore off though, and Addison adapted better than she ever could have expected to the challenge of raising twins on her own. Not that she was really on her own, of course. Cameron was just always working, juggling life as both a parent and a GP at the local Willow Creek Hospital was challenging for him, and so the majority of the childcare responsibilities were left to Addison. As the twins grew up into toddlers, Addison felt herself in her element. She had always wanted to be a mother, and now she finally was one. It was everything she had ever dreamed it would be, and more. Of course there were challenges, so very many of them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Addison was living her dream and quickly growing into a super parent. Elijah and Esther were 2 years old now, and had quite distinctive characters developing already. Esther was bold and brave, taking after her father in both colour and personality, while Elijah was more of a quiet nature than his twin sister. He was quick to assert himself when slighted or unhappy, but overall he had a peaceful, calm nature, and if a tantrum was being had, it was always Esther having it. Right from the beginning, the twins were encouraged to be different though. While Elijah was learning his colours, shapes, letters and numbers with flashcards, Esther was given dolls and doll houses to play with in the corner. The Fergusons were very traditional, and they were determined to raise their children the way they had been raised, with clearly defined gender roles and duties. As her father Cameron explained to little Esther, boys and girls were just built different. They were good at and made for different stuff. That's the way God had made it, and if they wanted to respect God, and of course they did, or they would burn in hell forever, then they would respect him and his ways. But already Esther was not good at conforming to his ways. She would gravitate towards her brother's toys, often more than he did even, and she was better at some of them than he was too. Addison had lost count of the amount of times she had come across Esther playing blocks or going through the flashcards on her own. It was infuriating how she would ignore a new baby doll, yet should Addison forget to put the blocks away, there was Esther making a tower. Playing with her brother's toys wasn't the only issue Addison was having with Esther. She was beginning to act out in all sorts of ways. Addison tried to encourage her daughter to be clean, quiet, and composed, as she had been taught to be as a child. But Esther had other ideas about who she was. She was loud and messy and defiant to the end. Esther would look up at her mother with her bright blue eyes and a confused, almost hurt expression on her face as Addison lectured her. It was as though she almost wasn't listening to the words her mother was saying, and Addison was near to giving up some days. Nobody had ever told her it would be like this. She'd imagined bonding with her little girls over pretty dresses and which dolls to put them on, not arguing about why they couldn't paint the carpet. And poor little Esther, she was so confused. Already it seemed obvious to her that Elijah was subjected to different expectations than she was. If he made a mess, he wasn't lectured like she was, and the inequality had begun to build a resentment within her that she expressed through tantrums and intentional accidents. Addison could tell what was going on, but she didn't know how to fix it. Esther had even begun to test the limits with Cameron. He hadn't been expecting it. Addison had told him that Esther was being a little difficult, but he honestly hadn't really believed it, until he had gone to see why she wasn't in bed one night, and found a hyperactive, defiant toddler in his daughter's place. Who was this strange child, and what had she done with his darling daughter? Cameron and Addison spoke about the matter at great length. They didn't want to scold Esther for her natural development, of course, but at the same time they knew they needed to steer her in a different direction now, before her natural tendencies became habits and tastes for life. She needed to be carefully encouraged and moulded in the right way so as to develop correctly. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 2 of the Fundamentalist Ferguson family. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook. Bye!